not wipe down their machines. Like, they're good. They're Gucci. And we don't talk, and we just do our thing. And then I have so many other examples of people doing everything I just listed. Some guy, like, I was working out in the morning before going to the airport, which I was very proud of. And some guy, like, again, 6:30 in the morning or something. Some guy in, like, full winter getup. Like, he's not going to the gym. He's just walking outside. So he's a big, like, fluffy coat. He walks into the gym and sits down on the on a machine. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's just, like, doing something before he goes to the locker room and gets changed. No, like, I ended up just staying there for 45 minutes, like, during my entire cardio. And he called someone twice. And then after about 45 minutes, he left. And I was like, what the fuck? What the shit? What? It was kind of creepy. I was the only other person there. The top right has the blue Zerg. It is Chivo's Ragnarok. In the bottom left has the orange Protoss. We just saw him on this map in this position. It is Astrea. There's another guy that he's not necessarily weird, like, I think as a person maybe, but his gym etiquette is weird. He's like kind of an older guy, and he just makes very loud noises. And you might be like, hey, don't judge people. Sometimes they just make noises, right? And it's like, yeah, that kind of comes with a gym. Some people are going to be loud grunters and all that. But this guy, I mean, I'm talking extremely loud. I'm like uncomfortably loud. Like, you must be over-exaggerating. You must trying to be Goku. You know, you're like a 6-year-old trying to be Goku turning Super Saiyan. And you give yourself an aneurysm. Like, that type of loud and obnoxious. And then on top of that, he listens to his music so loud that you can kind of hear it through his headphones. And it's like death metal. And he'll occasionally mutter to his death metal. And it'll be like lines like, you know, like kill, 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 kill the world. Like stuff like that. And you're like, I don't like this combination. Fortunately, I think he only goes to the gym on Sundays. Which is a very weird thing, but I don't know if this is going to be some weird, like, serial killer religious thing. But if something happens in my apartment complex or to me, y'all know who to check first. Just saying. Anywho. Astrea apparently likes this build on this map. Twilight Council Robo into, I'm guessing, the Dark Shrine. But Ragnarok should have a much better handle on things. As I pointed out towards the end of the last series, I do think our last Zerg just kind of mistook it for an Adept attack, because if you don't see the actual building, then maybe it can be a little bit difficult. He saw Twilight Council and he saw a Robo. It's possible that Twilight Council had just finished researching. It's possible the timing was just so close that he was about to see the Dark Shrine and it just was one of those things. Like, I'm not sure, but he had a very odd reaction to it. A poor reaction to it, that's for sure. No matter why he ended up being in that poor position, he found himself in a very poor position. Ragnarok should not have that happen to him. He's building Spore Crawlers. He's kind of getting rid... he's checking off the list of things that it probably is not until he actually sees what it is. Unfortunately, you can't check off many things. No 330 gases. Maybe you're thinking not a Stargate. Oracle's not popping up. Basically now, so it's probably not, but you still got to account for that Dark Shrine possibility, and well, very fortunate that he did, as it is a Dark Shrine. God, why do you use Diva Ragnarok? Why do you disappoint me like this? Noises are banned at Planet Fitness? Really? I feel bad for the people who do just kind of, like, naturally do it. Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Oh no. Oh geez. Well, he did have a Spore Crawl instead of a Spine Crawler, which is better. So it is a better defense than the last guy, but... Oh, the end result might be the same. He's going to try and at least tear down that Warp Prism. He's trying to micro away from the DTs, buy time for that Spore Crawler to root, and actually he does. And now the Queens are blocking the Warp Prism for saving the DTs, so this kind of turned maybe a little bit on him. Not quite. Almost, though. He does manage to grab 2 queens and let one of those ETs escape, but oof, that went from a nice defense to a horrible defense to an okay defense to maybe even favorable. 3 DTs versus 2 queens. 3 queens, actually. And 2 DTs. Okay, I can't count, apparently. My bad. I don't know, I take it back. Maybe it is kind of even. But now's the next step, right? Archons. Behind this, Astrea does have his 3rd Nexus, which is fine. Single link can't do very much. Going into production of his Robo, he should throw it in a Forge if he actually is looking towards more of a macro game. I guess that'll come later. Not enough Lings to combat 2 Archons. And the Warp Prism able to freely pick them up. Very scary situation for the Zerg player before those Roaches are out. But 9 more Roaches on the way. This is going to be held before it can tear down that 3rd hatchery. It's a little scary for a second. But Astrea, as much as he wants to micro that, cannot actually grab it. Ragnarok did go for a lair. He has Roach Speed on the way, but no Evolution Chamber, no +1. And while initially those Roaches look to be made defensively, well, these Lings would be overkill. He is definitely looking to push this back and then counter onto that 3rd base. Question is, can Astrea hold against it? He's going to have 5 gateways now planted down. I guess they'll be done by the time the push happens, but how many warp-ins they'll actually get before that is up in the air. Probably 1, if I had to guess. Astrea is not going to add on a Forge, and it might be better that he did not. Maybe that is such a... Maybe he can push that off for so long. That's what he usually does, but in this case, it's going to be 250, 100 that he'll be glad he has in his pocket, but he needs warp gates to use those extra minerals and gas. The Immortals, oh no, the Immortals are actually caught by the Lings! The worst case scenario, as well as the Corrosive Bile is coming down, so no chance to save them with the Warp Prism. 2 Immortals and 2 Archons would have been the perfect defense against this. But getting them caught up against the little pillar here like that, oh, this is making it so much more difficult. Ragnarok has burned through most of his Lings, and as I've said before, that's what complicates these engagements, so maybe it gets a little bit easier from here on out, but with both Archons down, it actually doesn't get any easier. This, unfortunately, is going to be game as Ragnarok easily takes game number 1. All right, then. She stole your name, did she? Oh, Ragnarok stole your name. Gotcha. I thought you said Diva stole your name, and I was like, in what world? Oh, I should also add the whole, like, if I get killed, you know, to look for thing by saying I listen to primarily crime podcasts, so my theory crafting of my death is just everywhere. There's many possibilities about how I'll die and how it'll be covered up. I'll probably die from something more natural, but... You know, whenever people are like, there hasn't been a murder in X amount of years in this town, I'd actually prefer not to know that preemptively. It's useless to know that after you're dead. And it's useless to know that... It's such like a useless thing to say when people are like, no, they're probably just missing. There hasn't been a murder in years. But if someone told that to me right here, right now, your part of your state hasn't had a murder in 20 years. I'd be like, oh, so it's high time for a murder. Well, shit. I hope it's not me. It's looking on the not bright side of life right there. And we're on Eternal Empire. In the bottom left, up 1, it's Ragnarok. In the top right, it's the orange Protoss Astrea. Game is really good with roaches. I know, right? He, like, moved with his roaches and then, like, caught Immortals with his Lings and then, like, pressed the C button a couple times and it, you know, totally killed Astrea. Oh. I kid, but also it kind of truth. That was not exactly the most impressive game for either party. Astrea was basically boned when his immortals got caught by the lings. If they got caught by roaches, they don't die fast enough to not have the War Prism save them. They also take a decent number of roaches with them. But it's just the lings catching them, putting them in place, and the War Prism being just a little too far away. That made that a situation where almost every Protoss dies from that situation. The two Immortals are so critical to that defense because you can juggle the two Immortals and the two Archons, and they literally hard counter both the lings and roaches being sent across to meet you. And you're like, well, Zerg player's supposed to have more units. Well, not if you're juggling. Juggling two Archons and two Immortals is like the perfect combination to survive against like an 80+ armor supply difference. Will you be successful if that's big of a supply difference? Probably not, but you take a lot down with you. But only two Archons? That's not enough. Especially because they're a little harder to micro with. Their range isn't as big. Anyways, it was just kind of a lackluster ending to that game. One person did a thing, caught two important units, and I mean, what else was Astrea supposed to do? I guess you could also say if his warp gates were done faster, could have been different. If he had recalled instead of just sent back his army, Warp Prism might have been different too, yeah, of course. But I think it is just all about those Immortals dying like they did. So it really was kind of a lame game. Doesn't mean Ragnarok's a lame player, but Ragnarok definitely is an aggressive player. Definitely has a killer instinct in him. And in that game, it was just absolutely perfect. It just worked out so perfectly. Astrea has more to show. And he's going to mix things up here on Eternal Empire, but going for a Stargate as opposed to the Archon drop. I have to listen to the cooking podcast. The only fear is eating bad food. That doesn't sound fun. No one gets murdered in cooking podcasts. I don't know what it is. I was talking to actually the couple who was saying they wanted to meet Cyril. They were on their honeymoon in Katowice. I ended up talking to the wife, and we bonded over a shared interest of crime podcasts, and she informed me that it's a very stereotypical thing for women to be interested in it. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I'm part of the stereotype now, so all right, yeah, all right. And I wonder what research has been done into why that is. I'd like to see it. I told my mom about it, and I got her listening to a couple of the podcast episodes that I listened to while we were driving back from vacation, and she also really enjoys it now. And I'm like, oh, stereotype. I try my best. It was my goal when I was younger to avoid any stereotypes, which probably caused a lot of problems in my development, but it is what it is. And now I've tried to embrace some more stereotypes and actually just be who I really am, you guys. But sometimes that younger part of me is like, stop being a stereotype. Say you hate crime podcasts. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. He went for triple Oracle, and he already lost one Oracle, and one other Oracle is half dead. That's an uh-oh. Third Oracle is quite expensive and really is supposed to be able to help multitask, you know? Like, even if 3 Oracles in one place don't do very much, 2 Oracles in one and 1 Oracle in another might get at least one stasis trap. And then the other Oracles might get a creep tumor, and then the other Oracle might get another stasis trap, and it kind of goes on, and it might not do very much, but it is consistent. Being thrown down back to just 2 Oracles, there's something about it, right? Like, it just doesn't look as impressive, doesn't look as scary, doesn't seem to do nearly as much. But perhaps that's because one of the guys who popularized, or I don't know if he created it, but popularized triple Oracle was Trap, and he was just very, very good with his control. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ragnarok going for an ice storm and an infestation pit. The fuck? People knock on my door. Okay, so it wasn't my door, but it still creeped me out. Anyways. I mean, it is like 3 in the morning. My immersion is broken. The Stormhost Nidus shenanigans have begun, haven't they? Yep, they have. Force one's gotta come down, but ooh, the locusts. Ooh, jeez. I don't know if I missed something more important earlier on, but that just seemed kind of one-sided right there. Ooh, Disruptor. I don't know. Can't make the comeback, though. Stormhost still available. Nidus from still available. Whew, that was actually a really good split. GG. GG, well played. Ragnarok with the 2-0.